Welcome to the K. Willis Positive Vibes Podcast. K. Willis Positive Vibes Talk Show on 98.5 FM, WSAX, your Gold Chip Foundation station, and streaming on 1580thepraise.com. And you know, I always have to have my people back. And it's a good history that we are going through with, I'm going to call him Uncle Doug. Because we go way back. That's Uncle Doug. But Doug Patterson III was born on March 9th, 1950 in Cleveland, Ohio, to Douglas and Bernice Patterson, and graduated from Glenville High School in 1969. He is a promoter and licensed booking agent with the American Federation of Musicians and co-founder of Production Plus Productions, LLC. Established in 1989 with his late brothers, Doug has worked with numerous legendary artists and produced major events throughout Cleveland. In addition to entertainment, he has over 40 years of experience in boxing as a promoter and official, officiating on major platforms like ESPN. He also played semi-pro football as a defensive back and served as a wrestling official for 25 years. Doug is a proud father, grandfather, and great-grandfather who continues to leave a lasting impact on his community. So thank you once again, Uncle Doug, for coming through and spending time with us on the K. Willis Positive Vibes Talk Show. And the previous episode, part one, and if you guys missed part one, you guys are going to have to go online to K. Willis Positive Vibes Podcast on YouTube and check it out. You could get all of the previous episodes as well, but we always have to do a part one and part two because my people are so good and it's so juicy. We want to know more. We want more. So, yes. But I love that you mentioned in the last episode, you talked about how you had a previous job and they told you, hey, you got to do a non-compete, but then it got you into the entertainment industry. So that was a blessing in disguise. And sometimes we don't see that, but sometimes God's strategy is not our strategy. And then you mentioned that you're an originator, not a duplicator. You are creative. Okay? Whenever you do something, you create and you bring creativity and you're different. That's what makes you stand out from the other promoters. So yes. So if you want to tap into that, where did your creativity come from?
Well, I don't know. I just started sitting back and sometimes I stay woke all night creating something. How would I respond? By me being in sales, and sales is always coming up with some kind of way to create. And I learned that when I was so cat-like, how I got all the people to start buying those small Cadillacs.
Okay.
And even when and we found out at the Cadillac place, they had a new Asian owner, and people was not accepting them. So I said, okay, he's always creative. He always was treating me nice. And I got them to eat those shoulder
sandwiches.
They bought them all the time, and I hear my mechanics, body shop, parts, whatever. I made sure I fed them based on when I did stuff. So I said, man, I can get creative with all this. So that's how I got the creativity. I said, I guess I'm good at putting things away. And when I left the card thing, when my brother passed away, David,
my condolences.
They didn't want me to really leave. And I was like, man, forget that. My brother's sick.
Right.
And my brother was gone, and I left there. And I actually, when they told me he passed away, on the showroom floor, and I kind of fainted.
Oh,
and when
wow.
So I was doing stuff like, I had a customer at my desk, a customer on the showroom floor looking at cars, a customer in the salon area, a customer out in the lot looking at a car, and a customer on a demo ride all at the same time. They like, how do you do that? Hey, we could take care of your customers for you. We can help you. I don't need your help. I got a system. I'm going to take care of all of them. And I was always creative with their families. They would always send people to me or do whatever because I knew how customer service is very important. And following up. If I tell you I'm going to do something, trust me, you're going to get that phone call. And I'm
Yes.
going to follow up. If it ain't happened, at least I'm going to call you and let you know. I just like somebody say, hey, whatever happened to this? Whatever happened? You don't have to do that with me. Because I'm going to call you and say, I'm going to let you know I talked to Kay on the line, and it went very well. I respond to that and just instead of not doing it. So I always tell people the main thing in sales is follow up. If you say you do it. And if you ain't going to do it, let them know why you ain't going to do it, and they respect you.
Yes.
You know, and if you're not going to do it, hey, I'm sorry I couldn't do it. I couldn't get on your... Just like when I called you and told you I was giving the Cavs wanted me to come down there and change date, and when I found I didn't feel like doing it, I called you back and said, hey, I don't even want to do that. I'd rather come and do you guys.
Thank you.
I said, I don't even feel like doing that. It's too much work, and I ain't interested. And I can let you know that instead of not saying anything and keep it to the 15th, my thing is nothing for nothing leaves zero. So therefore, if they can't do it today, I still got the 15th. But what if they can't?
Right.
So how do you gonna know? Pick up the phone and call them and ask. And then you said it's open. I was like, oh, it works out. Period.
Yep. Look at God. So you said follow up. And nothing from nothing. You can't, so nothing leaves nothing. Call, follow up. And that's the key thing. And guess what? That's easy. Right?
Mm.
That's the easy thing to do. Be creative. Be you. Don't be like anyone else. And I like when you said sometimes they feel like I'm a step ahead of them. They think, this is what they got. It's like feeding a dog a bone. I'm a step ahead.
I already know they're coming. All right, why they doing that? I'm really doing something else. And then they copy me. They'll tell me Heineken's. I told them they wanted to do a karaoke thing with the karaoke places. And you go to each one of the karaoke places, and they are they having a karaoke contest in that one club. I'm like, you know what? What if I got multiple ones, and that means I get the best singers all over the place. So I went to club owners and say, look, what time your karaoke start? 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock back in the day. What if I bring you some entertainers and karaoke earlier than that? So therefore, it leads them into your thing that's 8 o'clock. We'll come at 6. And you're going to get people that do karaoke, probably never been to your venue. They'll say, ooh, this is nice. I'll come back.
Right,
they
right.
Say, I like that. Well, give me $200-something. They say, okay. And I went to 10 of them. And I mixed all the east side, west side, and all of a sudden I got 10 nightclubs putting on karaoke. So now you got one club doing karaoke, but I got 10.
Come
the
on.
DJs you mad because they're like, look, I'm the karaoke DJ. But he's bringing us people at 6 o'clock. You don't start at 8. He's going to have people here, and a lot of them will stay over. And if they stand over, that means they're eating, they're buying drinks and stuff. No, we're going to deal with him. So I went to Heineken's and said, look, this is what I got. And Heineken said, okay, these are customers. We involved. So now they know that Heineken's involved, and we ran it. I got creative how we run it, how much time you got, if you can make it, how many points you got to make it in order to go to the next level. And a friend of mine said, man, you was before American Idol.
Come on.
They were saying, man, American Idol took over. I went to people, and I went to the radio station. I went to the TV station, rather, and I said, I want to do this ideal. And they said, well, do a what's called, and then let me know. Do a pilot.
Okay.
I'm like, what's a pilot? And then they said, how are you going to actually run the show? So I went to Channel 8. And I went to Channel 19. Channel 19 said, do a pilot. Channel 8 said, ooh, I like that idea. Why don't you start bringing us bands to Channel 8? Which now every day they got me, every week they have bands on Channel 8 to find work for them. So anyway, I got creative again, and I went to all the nightclubs, and we ran it for about 4 months. I told you what you had to do. So my thing is, okay, look, if you go to this club, you don't score 40% of out of 100, you got another chance to come, but it's going to cost you each time you come back, but it ain't going to cost you as much. We'll start off at $20, $10, and then they go to $5. If you ain't made it at the $5 thing, and we'll know what club you went to because we'll write it down what club, it goes to $0. But you might go to Club A, and you can't beat none of them singers. But if you go to Club B, you can beat them.
Right, right.
You don't have to keep going back to Club A where you can't beat them, and you can practice and meet them in the quarterfinals of the semis. So a person would say, okay, I've been here twice I'm gonna go over to this club. Now each artist is mixing up with each other in the club. Owner said, I'm getting people to do karaoke that I never seen because they coming from the club over here. So when we got into the quarterfinals, I said, okay, you guys, when you go into the quarterfinals, to make it so therefore they can't say, oh, that's all their people. When you do your quarterfinals, you got to do it at another club on the other side of town. And then you got to go on this side of town, and you got to go on that side of town. So now your people going to an unusual place. I said, we got 5 judges. One will be the nightclub owner who owns the club. And then we'll pick 2 people out of the audience by draw, and the other ones will be us so we can control the audition. It worked for about 4 months, and then we went down this auditorium in community college. I got the judges from the entertainment industry, and man, I ran into him back. Heineken's was doing it, and they all said, Heineken's, man, we want to do it. So I ran into them back in October last year, and he said, Patterson, man, when you did that karaoke thing, we still talking about that. When you went to the finals down at Public Auditorium, or when you went to community college, you had over 2,000 people. I said, yeah. He said, you got to do that again because when you go to karaoke, they just be singing. Your karaoke people be performing.
Come on. It's a difference. It's a difference between performing and just singing.
You got to sing, not sing.
Sang.
And you got to do that again. I said, Joe, I'm 75 years old. I ain't going back in them clubs like that, man. That's too much down work. No way, bro. That was 20 years ago. I ain't doing that. He said, but you got to do something. So I said, okay, we're going to do a thing. I'm going to get some agents. You guys go out and find the karaoke singers. Go into the club. You find who you like. You walk up to them and you say, ooh, they could sing. And you give them a card that says you've been chosen to audition.
Okay.
So we had 30-something audition. We broke it down to the last 12, which is going to perform this weekend, 70 and 80 with a band. I took the karaoke persons and put them with the band. Now everybody's doing it. Everybody putting karaoke with the bands. I said, there they go, copying again.
See, the creativity is all there.
Like, oh my goodness, I can't do nothing. But anyway.
But speaking of that, and that's good. Look, they always say if somebody ain't copying you or you ain't got no haters, you ain't doing nothing right. So that means you doing something right because they copying. But out of the all of that with the karaoke and everything, what out of the entertainment industry really highlighted? Like, what is one of the big events that really stood out and really is close to your heart?
As far as the karaoke, when we did the karaoke championship downtown, they still talk about it. To this day, when I seen him, he said, man, you got to do that again. That was I said, our sales reps are still talking about what you did. That's what I said, man, I ain't doing that no more. That's too much work. He said, well, when I come back from Florida, I'm down in Florida right now. When I come back from Florida, we're going to talk. But I'm retired, so I'm not going to do it. I said, well, why do you want me to go out there? He said, we'll just talk about it when I come back in the city. So I decided to do this competition. It's called The Way It Was.
Okay.
Was back in the day, and that's going to happen this Saturday. And right now, we sold over 200 tickets to come to this event with people that can sing, not sing.
Come on, sing, and come on, The Way It Was, because that's how it was.
Right. We're going to create something that nobody's doing it, and we're going to play Name the Golden Oldies.
Okay.
People going, and I said, the way we're going to do that, again, getting creative, we're going to ask them when they first come in, do you want to play Name the Golden Oldies for prize? And if they say, yeah, we don't want to do it, and everybody in the audience do it because that takes too long, and who actually said it first?
Right.
We ain't doing that. What we're going to do, we're going to pick, if they say they want to get involved with it, we're going to pick 5. When they call those numbers on them, we're going to give them, each one of them a ticket, and we keep the ticket just like they do 50-50. And we're going to give them a ticket, and then we're going to call in that, and we call the number. If they number, and you got to remember, I told the DJ, you got to remember these people are not experts. They come in to have fun. So don't be giving stuff that they got to sit up there like, name that tune, because they're not here for that.
Right.
Makes it too hard. You got to give them something that they'll know within the first 2 notes. But you don't want to have all of them doing it because then everybody going to say, I said it first, I said They ain't going to get trapped into that neither. So what we're going to do is call up the best 5 people on. I mean, we're gonna call up 5 people based on the tickets, and we'll bring those 5 up front, and then we'll pick out of those 5 that they're ones gonna be to try to find out what the song is, and we eliminate them one by one. But when you call the number and said number 27, I want you to play. Again, getting creative. I want you to play The Price is Right. Dun, 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 dun. And they coming up like on the song The Price is Right.
Uh-huh.
And make it more joyful.
So make it like a game show. You know, it's more like a game show.
And then get into my boxing creation. I said, and what we're going to do when they come up, you eliminate, you play a song real easy that they can guess within real quick because you don't want to be forever. You play that song. And the first person of those 5 to guess it, you give them a medal around their neck like we do the Olympics. Because now I'm using my boxing skills. You give them a medal around the neck. That's bragging rights because they're going to walk around the place with that medal, medal around the Olympics. They say, ooh, that's good. So that means you got 4. Then play it again. Somebody out there 4 guess it, you give them a medal. So now you got 2, you got 3 left. You do it one more time, and you got 3 winners. What about the other? What about them?
What about them?
And then you give them a medal. And then you do a dance contest. I said, let's do a dance contest. Do your thing and whatever you do on the floor. Because back in the day, we didn't do line dance and all that, but we're going to have that there because that's popular right now.
Right, right. Now,
we're going to have a dance contest. We're going to have the name the golden oldies. I got things on there, so let people have fun because that's how we used to do it.
The way it was.
Yeah, they're going to be like, man. And you got to remember, at our age, that people don't last that long.
Right.
2.5 hours, good. Because I'm like, after 2.5 hours, I'm leaving.
Tired. You're tired.
Yeah, they say they want to stay. I'm like, you can stay because I can go.
You ain't got to go home, but you got to get out of here.
But, no, they don't have to go there because the club owner, the place says, as long as they spending money, we'll stay open. I said, well,
okay.
then you can, DJ's going to leave. My DJs is going to leave, and you can play. You got a sound system, so you can play the music when we leave.
I know that's right.
Drinking and eating. Because some of them at 9 something, if they used to being out, they ain't ready to go home. But I got to go to church in the morning. I'm out of here. Do it like that. So now everybody's happy. The club owner's happy. The people find money. And that's how we did it. Same thing with boxing. I try to get creative in boxing the same way, and I create stuff with them because I have the Nationals coming to Cleveland. They called me 2 weeks ago, and they want to come back to Cleveland because some years ago, and they loved it. They want to come back, and they want me to head it up.
Okay. So speaking about boxing, like what led you into the boxing world as an official and a promoter? And I know, like you already said, the way it was, they going to get the medals just like how you do with boxing. So what got you into boxing?
Because I used to, like Miss Miller highlight and all that stuff. I used to be a judge and stuff like that. And Miss Miller hired some of them beauty pageants. I was a judge, a lot of them.
Okay.
So I played semi-pro football. So what happened was my coach was running the Golden Gloves championships in Cleveland. Mm-hmm. And I seen it at this place, this major hall, and I seen it in the newspaper, and I said, ooh, I should be able to judge something like that because I'm pretty good at judging. So I called him. I said, Wally, you got the Golden Glove Championship here in Cleveland, downtown. I want to judge something like that. I'm pretty good at judging. Thinking I've done this, I've done that, whatever. He said, you know what? Yeah, you'd be pretty good at that because when you played football with me, you was pretty good. You were versatile. Well, just come down there and ask for me. I was like, yeah, right. I come down there and ask for you, and they look at me all stupid. He said, what did I just do? He said, but that's going to be interesting. I want you to, you could come down and judge, but you know what? What? I want you to referee. I said, referee? Man, I don't know nothing about no refereeing.
Mm-hmm.
He said, just come, and I want you to look and ask for me. So I said, okay. I come down there and I said his name. They said, come in. I'm like, wow. So I'm watching the fights and I'm watching the referee. I said, I can do that. I said, Wally, I could do that. I could referee. He said, I know you can. I said, what should I do? He said, go to Clint Martin's gym and tell them I sent you there. I said, okay. So I go over to Clint Martin. I said, hey, Wally sent me here to learn how to referee. What should I do? He said, just get in the ring. I said, what? I don't know nothing about refereeing. What I should do? He said, just don't get hit. I said, okay, let me try it. And then from there, I did it, and Mike Tyson came. And in fact, I'll send you a picture with me with Mike Tyson and all that stuff. And that's how I got into refereeing. I started refereeing, and I did MMAs, and they tried to get me to, they see me refereeing, and I went to the Nationals. And Mark Ratner, who was in charge of the boxing, and I was with the IBF and USBA, and he wanted me to referee. And I said, I'm still selling cars at that time.
Okay.
You got to go to seminars. I don't have time to go to seminar because I'm working.
Right, and you don't get off the 10.
So I was like, I can't go because I can't go to the seminars. The only way that I could do that, he said, we got a way to do that. I said, what? He said, you could come up to Vegas. I'll give you VIP tickets, and you could come up here as my invitee, and we have the Holyfield Riddick Bowe fight. I said, really? So they flew me up to Vegas. He said, I like your style, man. We want you up here. He said, because then when we have fights in Vegas, you don't have to come into the seminars because they're already here. That was his thinking, right?
Right.
So I fly up there, and we were, I was sitting at the ring side, and then when the main event was Holyfield and Riddick Bowe championship fight, you got George Foreman, you got Sugar Ray Leonard, you got all these big, Roberto Duran, you got all these big fighters up there. And then when the main fight came on, the cameras was hitting me all in my head. I'm like, man, I already don't want to be here because it's hot as heck at MGM in the desert.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the heat. And then they were fighting outside. So I said, you know what? He said, I want you to be with Richard Steele, and I want you to be with Joe Cortez so they can show you what we're doing in the boxing. And I'm like, okay, so they're definitely trying to get me to move to Vegas to do the fights. He said, because I like where you refereeing. You're good. And I said, I ain't trying to stay up in no Vegas. So I said, you know what, when the cameras came up there and started hitting me in the head, I'm like, you know what, I don't even want to sit up here.
Oh, wow. You don't want
I need to get out of here. I said, where should I sit? He said, sit right there. Here, I'll give you some other seats. You know who I sat next to?
Who did you sit next to?
Bruce Willis, Martin Lawrence, and Betty Shabazz.
Oh, that's my cousin. That's my bonus cousin, Bruce Willis. I always tell people that's my cousin.
And I'm like, oh, this is not bad. Then I went to they had a the after party after the fight, right?
Okay.
And I went to the after party, and the lady said, sir, this is the after party. The other after party's down the street. Because, people try to do copy and have their own after party, right?
Right.
And this is the after party. This is the after party. And I'm looking up there. I said, what about these credentials? They said, oh, I'm sorry, sir, because I got the credentials from USA Boxing.
Uh-huh.
I got the real credentials. So now you got all the main people up there, and I'm like, ooh, this is cool. He said, so you going to come to Vegas? I'm like, nope.
No.
Too hot. And my kids were saying, no, my dad ain't moving to Vegas.
Come on now. So Martin Lawrence, Bruce, I love Martin Lawrence. That's one of my favorite sitcoms. Evander Holyfield, that's my birthday twin, October 19th.
Really?
So that is good. Those are some amazing memories. Now, you did everything, like you said, the way it was, right?
Mm-hmm.
But how about some advice to give to someone trying to break into the industry?
Try to be creative. A lot of people can't, and that's not easy. And find your niche.
Okay.
Your niche means how much you can be competitive in doggy dog. Because I was the booking agent for Cleveland's Kinsman Daz Band. And when we were doing the shows with the Kinsman Daz Band, I was getting calls. Always did things that I felt was right, not because it was wrong, but they trust you when you do things from your heart and you good at what you do. Because everybody has something that they're good at.
Right.
You got to find where your niche at that you're good at and work at it. I mean, when I referee wrestling, I got involved with wrestling, and I used to get people to come over and say, I want that referee. I'm like, no, you're going to have to take the referee they assign you. I can't go around and you do that. And I did the thing. My nephew told me the other day, he said, oh, they all know you in the referee and the wrestling. They said, I told them my uncle is Doug Patterson. And they would say, you talking about double slap, Patterson? When I do pin, I do a double slap on the pin instead of one. Mm-hmm. Again, I'm getting creative. I ain't doing like what they do. I do a double slap, and everybody, oh, look at that referee. He's doing a double slap. You talking about double slap, Patterson? That's your uncle. And when I got sick with that COVID and I couldn't do all that stuff anymore, they said, well, why don't you just supervisor and you could train the other referees, which I did, and they get all the events, and do that. So my thing to everybody, find what you love to do and make it yours. And a lot of people say, I do that, but I'm still not there yet. And you got to work at it. And when you work at something, you can do about anything that you want to do with God's help. Also, God helps yourself. Not betray. I got morals. I don't do certain things because that ain't right. I ain't doing that because I wouldn't know. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to create. I just told my staff tonight, in a business, if a salesperson or the company doesn't have sales or do something like that, the business is going to go under. And I don't micromanage you. If I put you in a position, I expect you to know how to do it. Or I help you out with it. And that's the way it is. But you got to learn some of the things yourself and come up with ideas and not all these excuses. Find ways to solve problems. Become a solver. And when you become a problem solver, you'll be okay because problem solving means you're really you reading the books. Because being a referee and stuff, you got to read all the time, get tested and all that stuff. You got some people who are very good at taking tests in boxing, right? But when they get in that ring, their mechanics suck. They get caught in corners, they get flat, and they get hit. They ask me, have you ever got hit? And I'm like, I'm too fast.
Too fast. Come on now.
I know how to get out the way or what to do when they're coming at me. I don't chase boxers. I was doing MMA in the cage.
Yes.
I chase them. I just step back and they're going to circle to you eventually. So you don't need to be running around. You got to know that kind of stuff.
You have to know it. But since, like you said, you have to know, you have to do things from your heart. Find what you're good at and work at it. And work at it. And we're going to leave on that. So how can we reach you? What's your phone number?
216-200-9813.
Okay, there we go. And then if you want to be a sponsor of the show, you can always email me at KWillis.PositiveVibesTalkShow@gmail.com. And thank you once again, Uncle Doug. I mean, I love, once again, do things from your heart. Find your niche, the way it was. You had some good gems, and I appreciate it. And guess what? We'll have to do this again. Yes. So thank you so much. And thank you for tuning in to the K. Willis Positive Vibes Talk Show on 98.5 FM WSAX, your Gold Chip Foundation station, and streaming on 1580thepraise.com. Please like, share, and subscribe to the K. Willis Positive Vibes podcast. Thank you for tuning in to the K. Willis Positive Vibes podcast. Please order my book, The Principles of Overcoming Life's Obstacles, a 31-day journey to positive living, available on Amazon.com. Until next time, stay positive.